Welcome back. Today's project is a repair job as opposed to the usual machine improvements that I've been making. I was given this pen probably about 20 years ago, and I used it for a long time at work, and I dropped it. And for as expensive as this pen apparently is, it's a Rotring Trio, a Rotring 600 Trio, and I've looked these up on eBay. And even to this day, I think the cheapest one I saw as of, April of 2022 was like $230, and that was a cheap one. So with a replacement being out of the question, and now that I actually have the skills and equipment to repair it, I think I'm going to give it a shot. Now, what ended up breaking was this piece. It's just made of cast pot metal, so I mean, it's kind of not really any wonder why it didn't withstand dropping. It's part of the retract mechanism. It's kind of difficult to show, but it interfaces. Oh, right. It interfaces here with this piece. This is the plunger. I guess the plunger you press down. And there's a small pin that goes in it that follows. Oh, you can see it's a little bent up. But there's a pin that goes in here that follows this track that makes sure, because you push it straight to engage, and then you actually twist it to disengage the pen. So this little ramp makes sure that the button ends up back in its starting position. So I've taken measurements. I've just got a rough sketch on the dry erase board. I've got a piece of aluminum chucked up in the lathe, and we're going to give it a shot. So meet you over there. Total length of the piece is 1 inch 160. So go ahead and face it off, set a 0, and our first diameter is 352 thousandths. And this is just 3/8 material. Go ahead and feed. Let's get a measurement. Okay, looks like we are at 0.3. 7.3. Okay, that gives us about 20 thousandths to come off. Next is a 702 thousandths long shoulder at a 295 thousandths diameter. All right. And the last external feature on the lathe is a recessed portion. It's 150 thousandths long. It's 1 inch and 10 thousandths back. And it's 341. All right, I'll go ahead and part it off, turn it around, and face it to length. So one of the advantages of having this little LED wired in to the Touch DRO board is because I have my tool post electrically isolated from the rest of the lathe. And this this clip is attached to the ground side of the LED. You can see it doesn't light up when I touch, but it does when it touches the lathe. So all I do is just clip it to the back of my tool, and for finding the end of something with my parting blade, I use a piece of just ground flat high-speed steel, put it on the face of the part I want to reference from, and just slowly bring the tool back until I see a light. Right there. And now I know that the leading edge of my parting blade is coplanar with the end of my part. And we'll go ahead and zero my Z. And my part length is 1 inch 160. And give a little, about 10 thou extra to clean it up afterward. Go ahead and lock the carriage in place. Slow everything down. Go ahead, disengage the feed. And part this off. take this out and measure it real quick. 1 inch, 175, 15th thou to come off of it. And again, I can just go ahead and use my little LED and touch off to the end of my part. 0. All right, now that's everything that could be done on the outside as far as the lathe work is concerned. So now I need to drill out the center. So you'll have to pardon the fan noise. I've got a new toy in the shop. I've actually had it for a while, but I picked up an optical comparator a while back, and the thread on this piece is pretty tiny, and trying to figure out what it is just using thread pitch gauges, standard thread pitch gauges, I don't think it would be terribly accurate. But I also figured this would be a fun way to use this thing. First time putting it on video for me, so I've got the top part set up in one of the small vices on the stage, and all I'm going to do is go ahead and bring it up and line up just like that, line up one of the threads, and then there's a micrometer dial over on the side. And I'll just go until I reach the next one, and it looks like it's just over 19 thousandths, 19.7, somewhere in that neighborhood. So I'll turn all this off and we'll go back over to the bench, and I'll let you know what I figure out. So going on the hunch that this pen or these threads are metric, I looked up, and a 0.5 millimeter pitch is 19 thousandths and I think just shy of 7/10. So we're going to go on the assumption that it is a 0.5 millimeter pitch thread. Let's also make sure that the feed is going in the right direction. Okay, it is. Alright, next bit for the lathe is to drill the through holes. First one's going to go all the way through, and then the larger hole goes 440 thousandths deep. Gear helps. And there's still 2 little pips that need to be cut out of it, but I think that did it. All right, that's done for the lathe. Next I have to figure out exactly how I'm going to cut that weird slot. So I'll bring you back when I got that figured out. So for the next bit of machining on the mill, I need to know how far down to cut in order to get the cutout on the piece. I figured this would be another good opportunity to use the comparator. So I've got you set up. I've got the piece in a vise. So I'm going to bring it up until the bottom line lines up. I kind of just use that to orient it as well. And then bring this around, 0 the dial. And then just bring it down until it lines up. Right about there should do. And that's 55, 56. It's like about 56 and a half thou down. So there's my depth. Back to the mill. Okay. That should be good there. And we wanted to come down 56 thousandths. So take this in really light cuts. Gear helps. right, I'll bring you back when I got it rotated. That should be right. All right, well, I got it lined up as best I can by eye, so hold on to your butts. Hit. So the last thing that needs to be done to this before I drive out the core piece I put in it is these tiny little slots. Got a 30-degree angle block, and I just put the piece in a collet or a hex collet. And I use that to line it up, line up the flat portion, and then just tighten up the collet, and then I can just put it in the vise like that. Should be like that. Nope, like that. And mill a slot straight across. And I'm just going to use the same 16th inch end mill. Looks like it'll fit. I think it might actually work. Alright, ready for reassembly. So the way that this pen works is there's this little tumbler, I guess you'd call it, inside the push button. And where it fits in here, the body of the pen, you can see there's a red pen, blue pen, pencil, each of those here, and whichever one of these you're looking at, when you press the plunger, that's what pops out. So whatever you're looking at, you want that to be on the bottom, because that's the way gravity works. So the easiest way to do this, I think, get that lined up in those little slots. And we know we want the pencil. We're looking here. So that should give that to us. And I kept this little mandrel. I'm going to use it to tap things in. So go ahead and drive it in until that part disappears. That should do nicely. Okay, so back in this goes. Pin. Actually, so I need to figure out something to be able to thread that in. So I'm gonna go ahead and figure something else out real quick. All right, found a piece of aluminum tubing, cut it down to fit. Okay, hang on. Okay, I'm gonna use a little trick I learned at work. Take a bit of super glue. Ooh, that's way too much already. Get a rag. Okay, so just a tiny little dab. 2, maybe 3. Very edge. Let me set this ever so gently on top. And we let that cure. All right, let's try this again. Perfect. Okay. Anyway. So now I've got that on. Put this little pin in there. That on here. Oh, I think that's going to work. Okay. Screw this cap on. I have to get some pliers with padded jaws to get that all the way on, but I can still ops check it. Pencil. Pen. Red pen. Hell yeah. FnA-Wright, it works. Well, unfortunately, the red ring of the Rotring here, I guess, got a little brittle over time, and I tried using these real gently, but it cracked right out. But I ended up getting it. It still works. Still functional. I guess as a bit of a closing thought, I know it's difficult to keep a hold of everything that you ever break, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that has a problem with hoarding random junk, and with the intention of using it someday, because I know I will, and of course, the day that you throw it away is the day before you need it. But anyway, this pen is pretty precious to me, and I didn't have the skills when I first broke it to fix it, but I'm glad that I held on to it and didn't throw it away, because You never know, years down the road, what random thing might set you on a path to a hobby that will give you the skills to fix things and to bring new life back into something that was useful and, again, precious. So, I guess that's about it. I'm going to go and show this to my sister. She's the one that got it for me when I graduated. Graduated college, I think. But she'll be real pleased that I was able to get it working again. And I'm going to be pleased to be using it again at work. So, that's all. I will see you on the next project.